We'll move around to the driver's side of the trailer, or the street side as we call it, and on the outside we have a television set up for a large monitor that can be used for video loops or to expand your audience capacity on the simulators, or run PowerPoints, what have you. It's got a locking door that you definitely want to lock up each time you stow the trailer away. It has the same type of latches on the doors to lock them back. Inside the door is a cable that you'll have to reach in and pull that loose. You can see how that cable releases the latches on that. As you reach in there to get that, depending on what type of jewelry you might have on your hands, you be conscious of the fact that you're very close to the television here rather than reaching in if you have a diamond ring or something like that, so that you don't scratch the film on the TV. The TV has an anti-glare film on it. It's also designed to work under the awning, the shade awning on that. The TV can be pulled out and adjusted for location, that sort of thing. And in behind here are your plugs for the power source of it, and also for the video source. There's 2 HDMI cables back here, also a coax for if you want to hook it up to a satellite system or something on that order. These are the HDMI hookups, and then also the power cord. There's also a coax access there. The foam pad that the television rides on is sloped so that as you push that television back, it wedges it in tight so that it doesn't bounce up and down, or it takes out a lot of the vibration with that. The trailer is outfitted with a GoPro camera to go with this. There's also a computer you can utilize to work the television, to run your videos through. We also have a remote mouse that you can do your PowerPoints from outside out here without having to have somebody else run the PowerPoint system for you. To hook all that up, you want to make sure that your HDMI cords are all attached. There's 2 HDMI ports in the front where you would hook up your computer if you're running like a PowerPoint or a video loop. If you're running the GoPro camera and you want it outside here, the reason we're supplying a GoPro camera because it's a beautiful way to increase your crowd size rather than having everybody in front of the simulator or whatever demonstration you're doing. You can also put it up on the television and expand your crowd with that. Also, if you're getting into a soil pit or have some sort of plants, anything that you want to show that you want to put up on this or to record, you can utilize that GoPro camera. To hook up that GoPro camera, we also supply you with a 50-foot extension cord for the HDMI cord for that. And for your video input, there is an HDMI plug under this flap on this outlet here. Your HDMI cord has a source and a display, and make sure that your display end goes into this end and your source goes into your computer or your GoPro camera. The other 2 plugs we have over here are just standard 20 amp outlets that if you're running this off of power on a building, or you're running it with the generator, then you can also supply power to if you've got like a wind demonstration or one of the blow up soil tunnels, anything else that might be used with that you might want to have power for, lights, what have you. Okay, and then to stow it away, you'll just push that back in as tight as it will go and release your doors. You want to close the side with the cable first. Make sure it snaps shut. We have foam padding in there so that it keeps that television stable without getting a lot of dust and vibration in it. The The television is an RV rated television, so it's rated for extreme temperatures as well as vibrations. The next thing we'll do is we'll roll the awning out. The awning is outfitted with a wind sensor so that if you get 20-mile-an-hour wind, I think is what it's rated at, it will automatically roll that awning up. So if you're out working someplace, you're away from the trailer, the wind would happen to come up, which in a lot of our states that does that, then that wind sensor will roll that up rather than tearing the awning up and beating up the trailer. It automatically stops. The switch is in by the front door on the passenger side. There's also a set of lights that are on the awning. The awning also helps a lot with the glare on the televisions. The film on the television is designed to be used outside and in the shade. And so having the awning out, it will take a lot of the glare back on that. But if it's too windy, then the glare also it's pretty tolerable without it. The awning also has an automatic shut off, so once it's rolled up, it switches itself off. Same way with its rolling out. So you should be able to push the switch and it'll adjust itself. The trailer is also outfitted with a set of TV antennas and with a TV package so that it gives you a little more versatility with your video system in it. And this other plug is just a coax cable that could either be hooked up to a satellite or possibly a camera setup or something else that would provide power into signal into your TV system on it. That goes directly to the television and doesn't operate with any of the other things that we've added to the trailer. The trailer is also outfitted with 2 sets of speakers for the audio system. I'll just point those out. They're on different zones so that you can actually do presentations on the back, on the rear of the trailer, as well as on the side of the trailer, and you can adjust the sound so that you can have 2 compatible presentations going on as you go. Next thing we have is all the audio components. There's a stereo. It's a Bluetooth stereo so that you can Bluetooth your computer to that. The next is the soundboard. It's a mixer for the speakers and the sound equipment that comes in. The next component is the microphones that we'll get into in a little bit. And then the last component is the amplifier. And so when you're running your television or any type of audio system going on, that will be run through the soundboard and the amplifier. We leave the TV sound off because it usually isn't compatible with the sound off the speakers. On down here you have the switch for the water pump, and there's also a monitor board that monitors your water level in the tank, and also there's a battery monitor that tells you how much juice you have in your battery. Below that is a switch which isolates the battery, so it shuts off all the components that be running off a 12-volt to help save your battery. And when you're finished with this, if you're going to go into storage, my recommendation is that you would shut this off in case you'd happen to leave a radio on, you'd leave a light on, you won't run the battery down. Most of the problems we have with the batteries are people leaving something on, running it down and setting empty for a while and not getting it charged up, and it reduces the life of the battery. So if you can shut this off, which that's just a simple turn of the switch, you'll notice it shuts off all the lights, it shuts off the battery monitors, anything else that's running off a 12-volt. But there's also a solar panel, and this is the controller for the solar panel, and that solar panel will charge the battery even though that you've got this switch off, so that you can maintain a constant charge on your battery. When the battery is hooked up to the vehicle, it charges off the vehicle as well. And then when it's plugged into shore power, then the converter box here Also has a battery charger on it, so it will charge the battery, and all this functions with this. All the charging to the battery will function with this switch off. This just shuts off the output power to the other components in the trailer. Basically, we have two systems on the trailer, a 12 volt and 110. The 110 is only accessible if you've got it plugged into shore power or if you have it hooked up to the generator. But then this box here converts that to 12 volt for the systems in here. Portion of this equipment is 110 and portion of it is 12 volt. So if you're not hooked up to shore power or to the generator, not all these components will work properly. The radio is 12 volts, so it should work, but the rest of these won't work under that sort of power. The converter is fixed with not only 12 volt fuses, but also breakers for the 110 system. So if you have something like your TV's not properly working or it's not turning on, then you may have a breaker out. Or if your outdoor outlets don't work, or if you overload one of those, that might throw one of these breakers in. So if you're not getting power to what you're wanting to work with, check the fuses and also check the breakers here. One other thing is we have a component drawer for this. This is where we're storing right now the microphones, and you're outfitted with rechargeable batteries for your equipment. There's nothing worse than getting out and hooking up your microphones and nothing works because the batteries are dead. And so we've got you a set of rechargeable batteries for the AA batteries. There's also a set of AAA batteries for the remotes for the televisions and computer remote. And this charger system here will also charge the AAAs on this here. There's also a charger for your GoPro cameras and the batteries for them. We supply it with an extra battery so you don't run out of battery with that. I would suggest you keep those charged. Okay. To get all this to work, you have to turn your battery switch back on because that supplies power to that. This is a 12 volt charging system here, so there's a switch that you can turn it on and turn it off. And also this will give you a power readout on your battery as well if you unplug those and put that in there. Okay, with your rechargeable batteries, I indicated that we needed to make sure we had this on. If you're getting ready to go do a demonstration, more likely you're going to be preparing the day before or early that morning. And my suggestion would be is that you would turn your battery power on and also turn your charging system on to refresh the batteries. I'm not real sure exactly how long it takes to charge the batteries, but I think an hour would be probably plenty enough to refresh the batteries. The transmitters for the microphones, they have batteries in them, and they're the commercial batteries that you purchase. They're non-rechargeable, and so when those run down, then you have these available too. But my recommendation is make sure that you check some of these systems out before you take off, and make sure that you have enough battery just in case. There's nothing worse than being in the middle of a presentation and trying to scramble around and recover from that. For your microphones, you're set up with two transmitters, two lavalier mics, and two lapel mics. So you have a headset, or you have a mic that clips on your lapel like this one does. The microphone attaches into the top of the transmitter and clips in there. And then you'll need to put your batteries in the case, and then that just closes up and your switch is on and off. Then we'll come over here to the soundboard and we'll switch all these on. Okay, for the soundboard, your microphone systems are the first two zones. These are your input zones. The microphones are 1, 2, and then the third one is for the radio. So if you want to just run the radio, you can turn those on and run that through this, and you'll adjust the power through that. You also have an amplifier system down here that adjusts the volume. The input readout on this is, you'll notice that as you can increase the amount of input for those through your zone on that. Then this component here is the system for your microphones. They're automatically paired to the microphones, so when you turn that on and your microphones are on, then they'll hook up automatically. You should have a really decent range with this, up to 150 feet probably, maybe even more, so you can have the freedom to work around the trailer and work around your demonstrations as need be. This is your output for that, and that's just for the mixing board. You have several different ways to adjust the volume on this. You can either do it through your inputs, your outputs, or off the amplifier here. On your demonstrations, you may have the need to run the television, run the radio system, do presentations with the microphones, and this will allow you to do a variety of combinations of how that can be done. So if you want to use the left microphone on the left side of the trailer, you would select these little buttons here. If you only want to use that on one side of the zone, you would select that button and pop these other two out. And so it shuts them off for the rear, and the auxiliary is non-existent. We don't have that hooked up right now. So you have left and right. And so if you punch this button in for the left side, that would run the speakers on the TV side. If you push the right, that would be the other microphone for the other side of the trailer. Then for your outputs, where you want your speakers to be working, your power for this is adjust your power for your volume on your microphones, or for your radio, or for your television on that particular side. And as I said, the left side is on the TV side, the right is for the rear speakers back there, and you can adjust the volume for the outputs of those particular mics. So you could conceivably have microphones on both sides and the TV running, and also possibly a radio or something else with that. The radio is a Bluetooth setup, so if you have your playlist on an MP3 player or your phone, you can Bluetooth that into the radio and use this sound system to project your music or what have you there. We also use that for the sound system on the computer. If you're running a video loop, you would be running your video through your computer, and the sound is Bluetoothed into the radio, so then you have access to all the mixing and the volume controls on the sound system. You'll also hook your television up through your HDMI and run your video out there, but the sound should always go through the mixing board over here so that you don't get interference off your speakers off that. To switch all this on, you have three buttons that you need to find. The mixing board is on this end. The microphone system is on this, and this one you'll have to hold and let it go off. And then the amplifier system's there, and then the mixing board's there. If you just run the stereo by itself, then all you need is the mixing board and the amplifier. If you're going to use your microphones, then you'll need this player here. Okay, some of the things that we have in the drawer are several manuals on the components in the trailer, the water pumps, all the sound systems, the radio and the TV and that sort of thing. We also have the remotes. This is a television remote that you can use when you're getting things hooked up. Most of that will run directly out of your computer though. Once you get that completely hooked up with your HDMI cables and stuff, you just select the source on the television out there to pick the one that's providing signal. We also have a remote mouse that will work outside with the television that you can use for PowerPoints, and it controls your computer inside. It runs with a little antenna that you plug into the USB port on the side of the computer, and that is your receiver for your mouse for out there. This can be a little bit tricky sometimes because it's a Bluetooth, and so you might be moving this faster than what the mouse is moving, and sometimes it's kind of hard to find that mouse, but it has a locking feature, so once you get where you want it to point, then you can lock that in and move that around. It's a little bit difficult to set your computer up using this, but it works nice with a PowerPoint system, so that all you're doing is clicking the next page button on it so that you're just advancing your film. It also has a laser pointer with it that you can use that, but once that's connected, it allows you to manage your computer from outside. So if you're not using that, then you probably want to stow your remote transmitter and put that back in the drawer. We'll go through the setup with the GoPro on the tripod. There's 2 or 3 different covers or container boxes that this GoPro fits in for the different attachments, and this one happens to be the one for the tripod, and it has a mount that we've already put on the tripod to put the GoPro on. So if you want to use this for a video camera or anything else, you'll need to take this particular piece off of that. But for the GoPro, we'll put this in here and clamp that shut. To install this on your tripod, you'll put it in it, and it looks like it's backwards, and so that just slides in the mount, and you'll hear it snap, and then the rubber piece on the back locks that in place. To remove it, you'll lift up the rubber piece and squeeze these 2 tabs and slide it forward to remove it. To hook your HDMI cable on that, you'll need to remove the door on the side of your GoPro, and that's below the black 7 on that. You push the small button here, you push that down, slide that and open that up, and just remove that door. That way you can access the cable ports on the side. Install that and latch the back on it. And you'll need this adapter to plug it into your camera. Right here. And so then your HDMI cable will be hooked up, and you'll see that this one says source and this side says display. So we'll hook your cable on the source end to the camera, because that's where you're supplying the video, and then this will be either hooked into your HDMI plug in here or the HDMI plug on the exterior of the trailer, and that will allow you to move your camera around wherever you want to either video your demonstration presentation or do something else with it. It also has it has a SD card with it, so if you want to record your thing to transfer to other media sources, then it's capable of doing that as well. If you record on the GoPro, you'll need to remove the SD card off of that, and we also have a reader for the computer. The computer's only outfitted with USB ports, and so you'll have to use this reader that you'd plug your SD card in there and transfer it to your computer. About the last thing in the trailer is the set of switches at the entry door, and you have the top bank of switches controls the fan and the vent fan up above here, and you can open it or you can close it. Then it also has a fan to help ventilate the trailer. The next bank of switches is for the awning, and to use your awning switch, you've got it on and off on it. You want to leave it on to extend it or to retract it, and you can push that and it will go ahead and extend or retract. So we'll put it back in. This is a Bluetooth wind sensor, so this is set up so that if the wind gets to blowing your awning around too much, it will automatically close it. But to make that work, you want to make sure that you have your awning switch on, so that will allow it to close that up. The next set of switches are ceiling lights for the trailer, and then the other one is for the awning lights for outside. This is a three-way switch, so there's a switch also at the back door, so if you want to turn the lights on or the awning lights, you can do that at the back door as well.